My beautiful friends, today I want to talk to you about one of the most important financial turning points in Charlie Munger's life. Munger is one of the most successful investors in the world, Warren Buffett's decades-long business partner, and this man once said something that has stuck with me ever since. The first $100,000 is very difficult, but you have to do it. Short, sharp, straight to the point. But behind that sentence lies a truth that most people never grasp in their entire lifetime. Today we're going to talk about that truth. I'm Kent. I come from the software world, spending years coding other people's dreams into reality. One day I decided to start building my own financial future, and since then I've been sharing what I've learned along the way with you. The things school never taught us, but that could fundamentally change our lives. Today's topic is perhaps the most important of all of them: compound interest, and why the very first step is harder than anything else. Let's start with this. Have you ever rolled a snowball? When you shape a small snowball with your hands and place it on the snow, what happens? For the first few meters, it barely grows at all. You roll it a little more, it still looks small, but at a certain point, something changes. The ball starts collecting more snow with its own weight. Every rotation creates a larger surface area than the one before. Every new surface means more snow. And suddenly you realize you're no longer pushing the ball. It's going on its own. That is exactly what compound interest is. And the period until you reach that critical mass, that's the part Munger called hell. Now let's look at the math. Because I don't want to leave this topic abstract, let's work through concrete numbers. Let's say you have $1,000 and you put it into an investment vehicle that delivers an average annual return of 10%. At the end of the first year, you've earned $100. Total, $1,100. In the second year, you earn $110 because now you're earning returns on $1,100. Third year, $121. Fourth year, $133. By the end of the fifth year, your total is $1,610. At first glance, this might not look impressive. Yes, you earned $610 over 5 years, but now fast forward. 10 years later, $2,593. 20 years later, $6,727. 30 years later, $17,449. The $1,000 you put in 30 years ago, while you were sleeping, while you were working, while you were on vacation, has grown into $17,449. 17 times the original amount, without you doing a single thing. But now we come to the most critical question. Why does the beginning feel so hard? To understand this, consider the following. If you have $100,000 invested at 10%, this year, your earnings are $10,000. That means roughly $833 a month your money is making money, without you doing anything. It's just sitting there and growing. But if you only have $1,000 invested, your annual earnings are just $100, about $8 a month. When people see that number, most of them think this: what's the point? That's it? I worked hard for this money, I saved for months, and my earnings are $8 a month, and right there, the vast majority give up. They withdraw the money, abandon the investment, or never even start in the first place, because the beginning is genuinely slow, both emotionally and mathematically, and that slowness wears people down, frustrates them, makes them lose hope. But I want you to know something. That slowness is not a flaw. That slowness is the very design of the system. Let's go back to the snowball analogy. When you start with a small ball, the first few meters are genuinely tedious. The ball doesn't seem to be growing. You're putting in effort, pushing, getting tired, but the difference is small. Most people quit at this stage. But imagine someone who lets the ball go on a snowy slope. That ball doesn't stop. Even if it stays small, it keeps going. And on a long enough slope with enough snow, sooner or later it reaches critical mass. And after that point, even if you tried to stop it, it wouldn't stop. That is exactly what happens in investing. Until you reach that critical mass, you are pushing the ball. After that, the ball carries you. So when does this critical mass arrive? Every person's situation is different. Every investment vehicle has its own dynamics. But generally speaking, this is what we can say. The moment your portfolio's annual return starts exceeding your monthly contribution, something shifts psychologically. Think about it. You're putting in $200 a month, and one day you look and your portfolio has grown $250 that month without you doing anything, just your previous savings working for you. That is a breaking point. That is the moment money truly starts working for you. And the first $100,000 Munger talked about represents exactly this threshold. Of course, this figure changes depending on each country's economy and each person's standard of living. But the concept is the same. There is a critical mass, and reaching it takes time. But once you get there, the game changes. My beautiful friends, I now want to tell you something very important. Patience in investing is not a virtue. It is a strategy. Distinguishing between these two things matters enormously, because being patient doesn't make you a good person. Being patient makes you wealthy. And this patience isn't random waiting. It's a mathematical calculation, the conscious choice of someone who knows what today's small numbers will mean in the future. I want to ask you something. If you invested $50 today and it grew at 10% for 30 years, what would happen? That $50 becomes $872. A single $50 decision, nearly $900 30 years later. Now imagine doing this every single month, $50 every month for 30 years. Your total contribution is $18,000. But the value of your portfolio? Approximately $113,000. More than 6 times what you put in. Simply through patience. Simply because you kept the system running. Now, I want to talk about the most common mistakes people make on this journey. Because mathematically, everything looks very logical. But human psychology wages war against that math. The first mistake, underestimating small amounts. You say, what kind of investment can you make with $50? And you say, wait, let me save a little more, then I'll start. But that a little more never comes, because there's always another need. There's always an excuse. And while you're waiting, time passes. Time is the most valuable input in compound interest. Every year that goes by, when you think about how much larger the system would have been if you'd started earlier, you understand the value of starting early. Let me be direct about this. Starting at 25 with $50 can be a much more powerful beginning than starting at 35 with $500. Time is a more powerful variable than amount. The second mistake, panicking when the market drops. You invested, your portfolio grew. Then one day you look and the value has fallen. A crisis in the economy, a shock in the markets. And in that moment, your instincts are screaming at you. Sell, get out, save whatever you can. But this is exactly the wrong moment. Market downturns are a discount shopping season for long-term investors. Quality assets are available at lower prices. Panic selling is like closing the store right in the middle of the sale season. The third mistake, expecting results too early. You invested for 2 years. You looked, and the growth wasn't what you expected, and you got tired. You quit. But the magic of compound interest reveals itself over the long term. The growth you see in the first 10 years becomes much larger in the second 10 years. In the third decade, it reaches staggering figures. Quitting early is like stopping the snowball exactly when it's building momentum. The fourth mistake, inconsistency. You invested this month. Next month, you forgot. Another month passed. You spent it. Compound interest works with consistent contributions. With irregular contributions, the system runs but far below its potential. Setting up an automatic investment instruction, meaning arranging for a set amount to be automatically transferred to your investment account on a specific day each month, eliminates this mistake entirely. You remove decision fatigue, you make the system automatic, and you take instant decisions, the greatest enemy of human nature, completely out of the equation. Let's now talk about something very concrete. How do you reach critical mass? There are 3 fundamental elements. First, time. Second, consistency, third, rate of return. And the most controllable of these is consistency. You don't have much control over time. You can't change the past. You have limited control over your rate of return too. Markets move as they see fit. But consistency is entirely in your hands. Investing every month, investing even when the market falls, not stopping that automatic instruction even when life gets more expensive. These decisions are completely yours to make, and their long-term impact is far more decisive than the investment vehicle you choose. Let me give you a practical framework. Let's say your monthly net income is $2,000, and your goal is to reach that critical mass. What should you do? Set aside at least 10% of your income each month for investment, preferably 15 to 20%. That means $200 to $400. Transfer this money automatically to your investment account on payday. Live on what remains. Start with a straightforward index fund or a reliable investment vehicle that pays regular dividends. No need for complex strategies at the beginning. Consistency is more valuable than cleverness. Assuming an average annual return of 10%, what happens if you maintain this investment for 20 years? Starting with a monthly contribution of $200, after 20 years, your portfolio could reach approximately $150,000. Your total contribution would be $48,000. The contribution from compound interest, $102,000. In other words, 3 times what you put in was earned by money working for you. Not by you, by the money. My beautiful friends, I now want to talk about something a little different. The psychology of this journey, because once the math is understood, the real battle takes place inside your head. In the early years of compound interest, you're forced to confront something, invisible progress. You're working, saving, investing, but you can't see any tangible change. Your life still looks the same. You're living in the same place, driving the same car. Your friends are perhaps buying more visible things, new phones, vacations, new furniture. And there you are asking yourself, am I doing the right thing? Is this sacrifice worth it? Everyone asked this question. I asked it too. But here's what I learned. Invisible progress is the most powerful kind of progress, because things that grow slowly take far deeper root. And one day you realize that your friends' flashy purchases have long since faded away, but your quietly growing portfolio is still there. And it keeps growing. Social pressure is your greatest enemy throughout this process. The consumption habits of the people around you are constantly trying to pull you in their direction. Getting the latest phone, going on vacation, upgrading the car. None of these things are wrong in themselves, of course, but each one carries a cost, and that cost extends the time it takes you to reach critical mass. Every delayed investment means the snowball gains momentum a little later. I want to do a thought experiment with you now. Imagine 2 versions of your life. Version 1 starts investing regularly every month starting today, with modest amounts, but consistently. Version 2 says, let me save a little more, let conditions improve, I'll start later, and waits 2 years. Just 2 years. Do you know what that 2-year gap means 30 years from now? With a monthly contribution of $200 and a 10% return assumption. The person who starts today, approximately $452,000 after 30 years. The person who starts 2 years later, approximately $373,000 after 30 years. Just a 2-year delay creates a $79,000 difference. This isn't a mistake. This is the inevitable consequence of the math. And when you understand this math, you see the real cost of the sentence, I'll start later. My beautiful friends, why did Charlie Munger say hell? Because reaching that first critical mass really is hard, not just financially, psychologically too. Enduring invisible progress is hard. Resisting social pressure is hard. Finding meaning in small numbers is hard. Giving up instant gratification to invest in the future is hard. But Munger also said this. You have to do it anyway. 2 words, but inside them lives an entire philosophy of life. He knows it's hard. He knows it's slow. He knows the invisible progress is frustrating, and he still says it. You have to do it. Because when you reach that critical mass, the rules of the game change. Money is no longer just something you spend. Money becomes a tool that works for you. And from that point on, time starts working in your favor rather than against you. I want to suggest 3 concrete steps for you starting today. First, calculate your real hourly earnings this week. We talked about this in the last video, because without knowing how much you really earn, you can't know how much you can invest. Second, set up an automatic investment instruction this month. Let it be small, it doesn't matter, $50, $100, but make it automatic. Every month on payday, it leaves your account and goes straight to your investment account. Don't let yourself make the decision, let the system make it. Third, after watching this video, do this calculation. If you start today and invest regularly every month, where will you be in 20 years? Do this calculation and write down the result somewhere, because seeing that number will become the most powerful source of your motivation. Compound interest doesn't reveal its secrets to impatient people, but to those who are patient, consistent, and systematic, it does extraordinary things. The snowball starts small. It always starts small. But on a long enough slope with enough snow, it becomes unstoppable. That slope is your time. That snow is your savings. And rolling that snowball is entirely in your hands. See you soon, my beautiful friends.